Yo, welcome back everyone to another episode of the Everybody Eat Show live. Where we at?
Let's go. It's good.
Where we at?
We in Paris, France.
In Paris, France, yo. Specifically
the 6th district of Paris, France.
Zone 6.
On Earth.
For sure.
In the Milky Way.
In the Milky Way, yo. Welcome back to another episode, yo. So Edom and I, we just did an episode last week in Barcelona, right? So we said that we're going to be doing another international episode. So we are in Paris, France, with a familiar face who was on not too long ago.
I think I'm officially a friend of the show.
For sure.
Yeah.
You're on it 2 times in a few months. More than most, right? International episode. So for those who are new, make sure you're following us on all platforms at Everybody Eats Show on Instagram, on Facebook, EBE_show on Twitter, Everybody Eats Show on TikTok, all that good stuff. So, and obviously on our YouTube channel, Everybody Eats Show. Make sure you're checking us out. For the people who are coming back, yo, we had Raj on a few weeks ago over in the States, back in New York. So we did an awesome episode. So if you were listening to that episode, Raj said that he's studying in Paris. So since we're here on visit, we're like, obviously we have to do another episode. So today is just going to be another conversation episode. Nothing too crazy, just have a nice conversation with our good old friends. So stay tuned if you want to hear some good conversation. Anything to say, Edom?
We got all the housekeeping items out of the way. So.
All right, let's do it. So first things first. Yo, French tacos. French tacos. I think that's going to be the name of the episode. That is the name of the episode. We even get started. French tacos. So the other day we got dinner with Raj, and he's like, yo, you got to try these French tacos. Yep. And he's like, yo, they're not tacos. I was like, yo, what are they? He's like, nah, don't worry about it. Yeah, he was like, yo, don't worry about them. Don't worry about it. You just got to try them.
And they're spelled TACOS. It's always plural. I don't know why. So it's always plural. It is a singular thing, but there's an S at the end. Tacos. It's one taco. Yeah.
We get one French tacos.
So as Edom explains, I'm gonna show y'all. Go ahead.
So I mean, mine I had was really good. It really looks like, I call it panini. It looks like you can make it in one of those sandwich makers, but mine, even though I'm not a fan of cheese, the cheese sauce is really good. Bro, I just want to take the sandwich and eat it right now and just stop doing this episode. But it's really good. It's not a taco. Like that's the thing. Like it's a taco. It's a panini sandwich, soft shell grilled tacos.
It's all good. Pass it.
Yeah. Let's see how her laughing's already knocking stuff down. But nah, mine was really good, and I really wish we kind of got this from day one. But
yeah, I mean, you can get more. It's kind of like this brand is like a fast food place.
Okay.
And then you could get like the street version, but the street versions that you can get like the same way you'd see like a deli that's open 24 hours. It's more like shawarma style. It's not like that.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Well, word, yo. So that was it's really good. After this episode, we dogging this. It's over. But when we were in Barcelona, we were talking about I think we covered a little bit cultural differences a little bit. So that's one thing. Again, this is my first time in France. This is my first time in Paris. So it's different. My parents have been here, so I've heard about it. Obviously, you've spoken about it before, but traveling, man, when we go back to it, it's so important. You have to see how other people live. You have to realize that you were saying that the other day, we're all pretty much the same, like a lot of people, like no matter like what countries are, a lot of people, we're more similar than we are different, but at the same time everyone does something differently, you know what I'm saying? We all do like the same thing differently, so it's like it's weird.
There's no one way to get to where you are, or one way to get to where everybody is, one way to get to the best, I guess you could say, someone listening to this in the States, there's your French counterpart is right here, literally doing his or her own thing. Yeah.
Like me, yo, what the hell? Since birth. Welcome to my life, yo. It's hard out here.
Yo.
Okay.
I'm a thing where I talk too fast. When I know what I want to say, sometimes I talk really fast.
Yo, I'm crying. You were saying?
Yeah, continue.
Your French counterpart?
Yeah, his or her own thing here. So really, I don't like. Man, wow. What I've learned is you can't travel with a judgy mindset or you got to get out of your own head to really enjoy traveling. And I talked about how a lot of people growing up in elementary school, a lot of the kids I grew up with, they'd be like, oh, I'm going on a cruise or I'm traveling, for winter break or whatever. And they'd always end up taking 2 weeks off or whatever. The break was a week and a half. And then, they'd be like, yeah, I got to do all my homework and this, that, and the third. And, they come back and we grew up with some of them. And I just noticed a lot of people kind of have the same mentality, but you've been to more places than I've ever been, and you've traveled internationally more than, I've ever have. And sometimes I just see a lot of people have the same mentality and way of going about things in their own little bubble. But yet, you're going to see on their page or something, they got the little highlights of France, Spain, Tahiti, all these other travel spots or whatever, but you're still, mentally in your own little bubble. So I was asking Benty, how do you really travel? Do you see how the people really live, or do you just stay in the tourist spots? When you get off a cruise, they take a break for 2 hours. So you just stay in the little port area, which is purposely set up to be a tourist trap? Or are you going around and seeing, the real stuff, like the homelessness or the disparities between rich and poor? You're seeing how stuff is built, how even simple down to the graffiti. I took a lot of pictures of the graffiti. I couldn't get too many here because most of it was on the train, but something as small as that to me is it's really big. It's even done differently across the ocean, literally. So
for real. So as you're saying that, it makes me think of obviously my dad loves to travel, so we traveled a bunch as a kid. And one thing, kind of literally to what you're saying, he was purposeful that when we're going, if it's traveling, it's vacation, we do not stay only in the tourist spot, right? He was very big. Obviously, he comes from Haiti, right? So he grew up seeing the poverty, and he knows about it, right? You don't have to teach him about it. He knows about it. Obviously, we're blessed to be born in the United States, so he always oh, where I come from is not where you come from. He used to always say that. But whenever we travel, he used to always say verbatim, I want you to see how the real people live, right? So we would purposely, for example, if we're going on a cruise, we would save the beach for last. First, we would drive around and go into the local neighborhood. We would see literally people, like the kids going to school. We'll see the hoods. We'll see all that. So we know growing up, Valley Stream, New York isn't the world. The world isn't like Valley Stream, New York. You know what I'm saying? It's not just Howell Road. It's not just Dutch Broadway. You know what I'm saying? It's not like your small little bubble. There's poverty. There's inequality. There's racism. There's real stuff out there. So when you come back, you have that bigger world view. How it's really like. How people really talk, how people look like, how people act. So when you're traveling, like you said, you're not just going, oh, okay, yeah, I went there, I come back, and I'm still having my own small little bubble racist mindset. It's no, you have that worldview. How people live. So
and it's not. It's
you look like you're about to say something. Okay.
Okay.
Right,
and I'm not. It's really not easier said than done. You asked Benty. I've judged so many people on this trip. That's how I interpret my world. So not the best, but you gotta make the best of it. But the world, what I've come to notice a lot is the world, as you get older, your world expands without your permission. So certain things you didn't do or weren't really in charge of doing, once you get older and older and older, you're kind of expected. Bensky likes to say you're a grown man, and yeah, that's the truth. And of course, but everybody grew up differently, and the way you do certain things, maybe so for example, when you turn 18, you can get arrested for a lot of other things, and a lot of people don't realize that. You in high school, we would always mob out somewhere and publicly, kids would get into fights and stuff, and you don't have to worry about getting arrested because you're all underage. When you turn 18, you can't do that anymore. So I'm just saying, it's hard to step out of your comfort zone, especially, like I said, when the world's expanding over you. So I guess narrow-mindedness, in my opinion, comes from people trying to, stick to the walls and trying to keep their own small little world like within them. Meanwhile, in reality, you might think you're confined to this one little corner, but your whole world might be, this entire room or the entire building or this entire zone, for example. But some people are too stuck in their ways kind of to really let that go and get uncomfortable. And I'm not innocent. I'm an introvert. I like to stay inside. I'm an indoor cat, but working on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with you. I think I like what you said when you said that your world expands without your permission, because it's like up until 18, even before like the age of 22 or something, we weren't really into politics. Some people were super into politics, but I feel like now we have to be into politics.
Yeah.
And it's like things like it's just on a scale that we didn't understand before. So I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, so like in school we're like, okay, it makes sense. We're 18, graduating high school, taking like AP Gov or something, right? We're like, okay, we need to fund schools because education is always great. And then you get older, you're like, why can't we fund our schools? And it's like, oh, because the president is trying to fight a technology war with China, so we don't have enough money or something. So it's like, oh wait, and just by default, you now need to learn what they're doing on the international stage for you to understand what we can get done domestically. And it's like, just in an instant, you now have to keep up with what's going on in the entire world, because that's affecting what's happening to you and your neighbor and everyone else. I think that was a big thing that hit me, especially moving out of the United States. It's like everyone here is affected by what's going on in the United States. Everyone in the United States is affected by what's going on in France, Spain, Japan, everywhere in the world, North Africa. Like everything plays a part in what happens in our daily life, and we just don't see that unless you step outside.
Nah, for real. So like you said, it's like politics, right? Like my dad used to always have the news on, so like I'd be aware of it, but I'm not paying attention. I don't really care. Obviously, as you grow older, we start investing, right? For example, I'm finance, like that's my industry, whatever. Once you start investing, right, and then it starts to apply cryptocurrency. Now when you hear news articles talking about, oh, Joe Biden wants to sign a $1 trillion stimulus bill or infrastructure bill, now it's like, whoa, that's going to impact me. Taxes, my business, tax refund, you know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff. It's like, oh snap, like you said, now I'm forced to, pay attention a little bit more, or at least I'm gonna have to care now because it's starting to impact me without my permission. I didn't ask for this. I want to stay inside and eat honey buns, right? Like I don't want to. But like I
was so upset one day. I put this on my Instagram story. Being an adult is having things put on your to-do list that wasn't done by your immediate family members. So, I got mailed something. What was it we got mailed? I had to fill out a form for my job, and it was so hectic. I spent like the course of a month doing it. And in the time I really could start doing it, it took me 3 straight days to actually get something that took 2 seconds done. And that got me upset because it's like, I didn't ask to do this. I didn't want to do this, but now I have to do this because in order to keep my job, I have to go and fill this form out. And that's something that got thrown on my to-do list without my permission, So, I mean, you can kind of say, because I work for the company, it's there, but you know what I mean? You get what I mean? So
I wanted to comment on something you guys were talking about before, just with some anecdotal evidence where it's like, I think growing up in America, anyone that grew up in America automatically has this. I mean, obviously children of immigrants have a little bit less of this, but has just like this bias and this tunnel vision of what, not the world, of what life is, right? And us coming from New York, we're a little bit more privileged to be in a place where it's like the most diverse place in the world. But even with that, we still have a tunnel vision of what else is going on in the world. Like we can say, oh, we live in New York, we know what all these people are like or what these different cultures are like, but we don't. We've never even experienced anything close to it at all. And I definitely had to shed that when I left. And even when you just travel, you have to shed that, like you guys said, like, and obviously there are people who, like, tourism doesn't have to be stressful and a learning experience all the time. There are people who tour for the Instagram photos and who tour just to see nice stuff and take a vacation and decompress, which is not a problem. But then there's like, it's nice to have the time to appreciate how actually other people live and actually learn about that
Yeah.
stuff.
I was gonna say that someone reminds me when we were in Barcelona, we had a tour guide, and she was from Poland. She was a Polish tour guide. I think she said she went to Barcelona, staying with her boyfriend's family. And we were asking like, "Yo, how many languages do you speak?" She's like, "Yo, I learned Spanish while I was here. I got fluent, but in Barcelona they speak Catalan." So she was like, "Yo, you can get by speaking Spanish because most people like they learn it, but the local people speak Catalan." So she's like, "Yo, while I'm here, I want to learn how the local people speak because I want to come. If I really want to connect with the people in Barcelona specifically, I need to learn how to speak their language. That's how you really get to know someone." And I felt that. Yeah, I really felt that. You know, I'm like, yo, like not a lot of people be like, nah, why do I have to learn another language, right? Yeah. If majority of people speak Spanish, let me just speak Spanish.
I was gonna say, like, not to get too political about it, but like, I feel like America and the UK, like the bigger colonizing powers, are expecting everyone to speak English. Mm-hmm. They don't try to learn the language when they travel or when they go even to live somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's just like, that's obviously just the consequence of colonialism and imperialism, and just the fact that there was this huge effort to make English the world language so things are easier. And for the most part, it worked. But at the same time, it's like, it just gives off this obnoxious stereotype of American tourists, which is a big part of it, but it's not like 100% of them. Like there's obviously the people like us, or there's like so many different people who tour and actually put in an effort. Where it's like Americans have this stereotype where it's like they only speak English, they don't make any effort to learn another language. They go and they try to forcefully expect everyone to speak English to them when they didn't have to come to this country in the first place. And I feel like that's like a sentiment that's growing and growing and growing, which sucks.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I've been here and I can kind of tell. I see why I would hate America too if I was came from here. You know, though I watched the video about how the dollar standard how I'm not really sure. I don't want to say the U.S. wrongfully, but U.S. They pushed for the dollar standard across the world, and that changed everything. And even,
that's also just a fact. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying.
No, I didn't want to misquote anything. I don't like giving not the right stuff. But I was having a conversation with my friend the other day. Shout out to Man, and you got to get him on my podcast one day. So one thing he said, going back to the education thing, is to receive an education in the public sector in this country and come out of it as an individual, you have to filter out a lot of what you learn. And I always talk with Bensky about how slavery and all that stuff, when we covered it in high school, it was only like a few pages, and we watched a documentary on Emmett Till, and that's all I remember, you know. I could tell you all about American history, not really all about American history, I lied, but I know more about American history than I do about stuff going on in European history and whatnot. When our Airbnb host, I don't know if we talked about in the first episode, but they're talking about how the Catalan people were fighting for their independence and whatnot. I thought that was cool. You know, I don't think you'd ever hear about, I've never taken a history course where they discussed that cool tidbit. Just to go over it again, the Barcelona, the region of Catalan, pays for a lot of Spain's like taxes and everything, and they want their own independence. And we were walking around and we were seeing a lot of, it looks like the Puerto Rican flag, except the stripes are gold and red. Instead of white and red. So that's not the exact Catalan flag. It's everything minus the triangle, the blue star. But the blue star on the Catalan version of it is for independence. That's them. So you put it over your window and it shows people like, you know, I'm here for Catalan independence. And I've never heard about that, never knew about it, you know. Even talking about the Brexit situation, that's pretty cool. And even recently, I know we talked about it, I want to say it was offline last time we spoke with Raj, but I find world news a lot more interesting than regular news nowadays. So recently China, they sent, you know, warplanes to Taiwan, and I've never, you know, anything I do in the US, I would have never heard about that or learned about that or anything. So I find that really interesting. And like I said, you got to go out and experience things.
Yeah, I think like I'm gonna say specifically, news about China and America is pretty like propaganda-ish, and it's the same on the other side too. So it's like at first it's interesting, and then you got to filter out, okay, what is it that America wants us to look at versus what is actually happening, or the way that they say it. I'm not saying it's a uniquely American thing. It's like it's happening everywhere. It's just the example. But I actually have an example of someone from France. He's a rapper named Freeze Corleone, and he got into trouble because and I'm not like defending him or anything. It was definitely a very controversial topic to talk about. But in some of his songs, he goes, "I don't give a f." I don't know if we could curse on here. Okay, I don't give a f about the Holocaust.
Yeah,
he didn't say that like in an anti-Semitic way. He could have been.
Yeah.
I'm just like trying to quote it the way it was. But what he was trying to say, which he definitely didn't say it greatly,
Yeah.
what he was trying to say is that like all we learned about was the Holocaust. I care more about what's happening with my brothers and sisters during like the genocide in the Congo or the genocide in Rwanda. It's
Yeah.
like that's what I care about.
Yeah.
And he's like, we didn't learn about that in school. We didn't learn about that enough, but those are the things that I care about that are closer to me.
Yeah.
And obviously he said it in like the worst way possible,
Yeah.
which caused a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
But like it's that same example is that
Yeah.
we learn very specific things about America, very specific things about the world. We went really deep into the Holocaust, if I remember.
Yeah.
Like very deep into it.
Yeah.
But nothing else that happened in Europe. It's like obviously it's difficult to analyze because we didn't create a curriculum from scratch.
Yeah.
But it's like, why do they teach us certain things versus other things?
To piggyback off that, the last thing I remember most about that was the Nuremberg trials and how they try to, big ton of the, Hitler soldiers and whatnot. But what you don't hear is that, in Germany, they teach that. They teach the Holocaust. They let you know these are the atrocities we committed.
Yeah.
That's
definitely something that we didn't hear that I learned about more when I got here, is that they very much took responsibility for all that stuff. And it's like you don't hear about it in America, and it's like, so where are you leaving us with this?
Exactly.
Do you want us to hate them?
America did cover that. Then they'd have to do their part and start teaching critical race.
I don't think you guys are going to be let back in the country after this.
Word. Nah, man, and that's what it is, and it's having that it's also having the maturity to know, like, a few things. One, self-education, right? Self-education is always going to be the most important form of education ever, because one, you cannot depend on the school system to teach you everything. And if you only do depend on the school system, that's where you get that narrow-minded. You're going to be you're going to be just another cog in the machine. You're not going to have that worldview. You have to do some of that research on your own to learn. And that's what it goes back to travel. That's one. And then, two, crap. Don't remember. Crap. All right, yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna continue then. And I think a lot of people who say things that you're saying, the way that they say it is very like world conspiracy, we're all sheep, blah blah blah. It's not like that. It's like I have an anecdote as well. I don't know if I talked about this on the last podcast, but
and you know what? I'm sorry. I don't want before you go.
Go for it. Yeah.
That's what makes it so hard to kind of talk about it. The maturity and the self-education. It's just a change in mindset. So it's hard to kind of say that to someone without them assuming you're sounding pretentious or you want to you sound better than them, or you think, oh, so do you think I'm a sheep? Do you think I believe? It's hard to say that or kind of portray that to someone, especially nowadays, going back to hypersensitive culture and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say was with
that stuff,
with the whole idea of self-learning and stuff like that. I don't know if you remember, like when we learned about the philosophers in Europe during, like, I guess the Renaissance,
Enlightenment area or whatever,
and how we would just talk about how all these philosophers would gather and talk and speak and make these ideas and write books. And it was like, okay, a bunch of guys got together and talked about stuff and made books and all that stuff. You didn't really think much of it. And then I got here and I found myself like sitting outside, talking with my friends, learning so much and sharing so many ideas from my point of view, from their point of view, for the most part in a different language than I normally speak. And it's like you learn things from their perspective, from their language, and like your worldview is completely, it's not like shattered, but it's like expanded.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely understand why we learn about these people, because it's like, that's what I'm doing. I'm in a new place, speaking with new people, learning how things are done different in the world, and changing the way that I think about things. It's like, it's the textbook idea of learning on your own and just learning from experience. And it's like, I completely understand how these philosophers came up with all these ideas, because they met all these different people, they traveled, they like, and obviously traveling is a luxury, but when you can do it, like make the most of it. I don't know, did you listen to that last Tyler Creator album?
I did not.
And he was like, what do you say, he was like, my passport is the most valuable thing I have. It's like, the second I got a passport, I went everywhere. It's like, for especially as an American, we're privileged that we don't need to get a visa for most countries. We can literally just go anywhere we want,
for real,
which is insane,
which is dope. You said something that we say a lot, yo, changing your mind when presented with new information. That's something that we say, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, that's important. It's easy going back to that narrow mind. It's easy just being in your own lane, but like when you do have the ability to sit down, yo, those philosophers are just doing podcasts without mics.
Exactly.
We doing the same thing, right? Just discussing ideas. But yeah, yo, like, it's okay to, like, if you're born with a certain mindset, you're surrounded by a certain mindset. I'm not like, it's not a bad thing to have it, because that's all you know. But once you do get presented with new information, new ideas, and you learn about something differently, that's when you have to be like, okay, change your mind a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, accept new, like, accept a different perspective. And then that's how you grow as an individual. That's how you mature. That's how you communicate. You know, I love to socialize. I love to talk. That's why we do this podcast. So it's literally the same thing. It's just being able to change your mind when presented with new information, right? If you're only surrounded by one, people
who think like you,
then it's like, all right, one, it's like get around different people, but two, then it's like, okay, I kind of understand why you have that point of view. But once you get a new point of view, bro, like, change up, adapt, you know what I'm saying? Adapt and learn, and it's just like, it just goes back to just walking down the street, how the fashion is different here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just one thing, right? When we were in Barcelona, we noticed, like we kind of said, when we were in Barcelona, the fashion was a little bit different. You didn't see as many name brand sneakers as like I thought I would. But you come to Paris, it's different. Yeah, you come to Paris and it's like the fashion's completely different.
I don't know
what I'm saying?
And it's
like,
if you notice, it's a very European thing, but the way people buy things for necessity, in New York, obviously there's so much traffic, right? And there's never a place to park your car, but everyone always brings their truck and their oversized car to the city, expecting to park it. Like, it makes no sense. But here, everyone has a tiny car. Like, everyone who lives or commutes to a major metropolitan area buys a car that fits that need. As opposed to America, where it's more individual, where it's like, I want this car because I want, and it's not like a bad thing. It's just like completely different
mindset. You're not seeing pickup trucks over here.
No, you're not seeing
pickup trucks. I ain't see no Escalades over here. In the middle, ain't no Escalades, ain't no Suburbans, ain't no like nothing crazy.
See them more in like the countryside, where you needed to transport a lot of material.
That's what.
But it's just like, that's the different culture
for sure.
Literally
driving those tanks and stuff like that. So it's just crazy, and I'm just really appreciative, like you said, just to be able to just be here and see things differently. Like, the architecture is different, you know what I'm saying? The apartments are different, you know what I'm saying? Everything is, and it's like, instead of just sitting here and be like, like, these people are weird, why you do it like that? It's like, okay, I kind of see why, like, one, we notice like people are slimmer here, right? So maybe narrow staircases make a little bit more sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's just cool. It's different. And when I'm going back into the States, I know it's gonna be like the first day or two is gonna be like, whoa, it's gonna be like, okay, adjustment, but then it's gonna be, this is something I'm going to always remember and be thankful for, you know what I'm saying? So,
and it's like, I know we were talking about this on the walk here, like, you can literally see the difference in their food and drug politics when you go out to eat. And it's like, the portion sizes are smaller. Stuff like McDonald's and Burger King and their fast food actually tastes like food, or close enough to food as you can get, because they have such strict food and drug laws. And you see that in the way that the people look. And then you see that, I don't remember this is obviously not a France example, but I think like Subway had to legally declare that their bread in Ireland was a dessert because it had so much sugar in it that their food and drug laws was like, this isn't bread, this is a dessert. They're like, we can't let you sell this and call it bread. Just because there was so much sugar in the bread.
You're lying.
Yeah, I definitely only read the headline in like the first paragraph, but look it up to confirm.
Yeah. That's funny. So the food, you know.
Yeah.
That like what do you say with the food? Like I know in where we are, sometimes when Ben's can order out some nights, like, yo, bro, the next morning my body push that out. Like you like, especially because we've been kind of like on a bit of a fitness thing. When we eat, like when we start to eat like fast food and stuff, we notice like our body kind of reacts differently. Maybe again, it's either because of fitness thing or we're getting older, so our body can't take all that stuff we were eating. But I've noticed here, like every time I eat something, you know, besides I personally don't like garlic, but besides that, I don't feel weird. I don't feel sluggish. Like Raj said, the McDonald's here doesn't make you feel as much as like crap, you know?
Yeah.
So like here, I mean, partially because I'm vacationing with Bensie's family, but I definitely like, I feel lighter. I feel like I've lost weight. I feel way healthier. I know when I go back to the States, I'm gonna be like, mad sluggish.
Yeah, it's like crazy. Every time I go back home, I like immediately put on like 10 pounds just naturally from the food I eat. Like I don't change the amount. It's just like I gain more weight when I eat the food at home. Yeah.
But on that note, it might be time to go hit these French tacos.
Yeah, we could do that.
Do you have a quote you want to hit us?
We can end on this.
We got to end on a quote that's a little bit different. Let's do it.
All right.
Oh, we got the quote.
Yeah. So the word of the day is we cannot liberate if we do not start from the bottom. I don't think Raj would get this one. No offense, unless you would. But she's a activist.
Give me some clues.
She's a women's activist, African American. She's passed recently, unfortunately, and she's from New Jersey.
Oh, I'm embarrassing myself.
She's very local, so
yeah, I probably don't know this off the top of my head.
No.
Maybe if I hear the name, but I doubt it.
Okay, so if I gave this next hint, it would have given it up. But she's on this YouTube channel I love to watch called The Grapevine. Her name's Aisha K. Faines.
Okay.
Or Fines, however you say it. But her quote was, "Yeah, you cannot liberate if you don't start from the bottom."
Completely agree.
You know, true for so many things. I don't want to get too political, but you know.
That's not even like political.
No. I mean, my only example for that is something political.
Yeah.
But again, like, you know, if you want to build something, right, you can't start from the top down.
Yeah, I think it's also like I can apply to face value activism too. Like people on the internet who consider themselves activists but don't actually do anything about it. Like you're not getting anything done with that.
Yeah.
You outrage warriors.
Like it's really good to like share information and make sure that this information gets transferred when you can't do anything about it. But the people that can do stuff about it and decide not to, who then call themselves activists, is like where that problem starts. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with participating even a tiny amount.
Yeah.
But then like taking credit
Yeah.
for more than what you actually participate is where the problem is.
And that just reminds me of a conversation I had a few weeks ago. Someone was like, talking about pretty much like activism in the Black community, right? And he was just saying how like everyone has a different part to play. Like some people are more like, yo, I'll go protest. Some people are like, nah, like I'm not going to be in the streets like that. Like I'd rather do something else, right? And I was saying, you know, for me personally, like the whole spreading awareness on social media, like you're not really going to see me posting crazy like that. Even whether it's about, you know, it could be referring to like say the Haitian migrants or Black. Like personally, I'm not the type of person to be like posting on social media stories. My impact is this day-to-day conversations with people, you know, having conversations on the podcast, the whole podcast page, you know, sharing that information, having these conversations. To me, that's my grassroots on the ground work, having those conversations, helping people, helping our community financially, having these conversations, you know, teaching them about, you know, starting their own business, starting their own brand. Like, to me, that is my impact, and that's my ground level impact. I don't need to be personally in the streets doing anything crazy, but if I can help one and that later that night, you know, that was the night I helped one lady, well, we were having a conversation. She wants to start a brand, but she was talking about she was anxious and nervous. I was just, going off talking about my experience to starting the podcast, how I was scared and I was nervous. I didn't want to start this, but then, I had an accountability partner. I told her my whole story. And at the end, she's like, yo, I feel so much better. I don't feel as anxious anymore. Yeah. That is where I can have my impact. Yeah. I don't have to post something. I don't have to be in the streets. But if I can help one person have that conversation, help her, feel less anxious at least. I don't know if she really started, but at least give her an example. You're not the only one who feels this way, and I can help her. That's my impact. And I sleep well at night knowing that.
And you're playing your part in the most effective way that you know how.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people, I don't know if they feel bad, but it's like donating money is even a better quantifiable way to do it, because the fact that the way I think of it sometimes, as
long as you know where it's going.
Yeah,
for sure.
The way I think about it too, especially when you're not able to physically be there and actually help out with your hands.
Yeah.
The way I think about donating money is that, let's say your job pays you $15 an hour. You donate $30, you have given 2 hours of your time to this cause.
Yeah.
And the more and more you donate, you can actually quantify it like that.
Yeah.
So you actually know if you're you don't have to feel bad or feel like you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Time for the people.
Yeah, from the beginning. If you make $15 an hour,
yeah,
and you donate $30, or let's say you donate $45 to a cause, you have donated 3 hours of your time. You have done 3 hours of work for that cause.
Yeah.
You did your work and gave the spoils of your work to that cause. So it's as if you went out there for 3 hours. It's as if you did XYZ for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So you're able to see how much time you actually don't donate to this cause by the amount of money that you give to it. And obviously not everyone can give their salary to something, but it's let's say you do give just $15. That's an hour of your time for the entire week that you work, that you took out of time for yourself. That's worth something.
That right there is much better than reposting a biased article that you didn't read yourself. It's much better than reposting one of those. I've seen a lot of organizations put up for every repost we'll donate $1. How do they know you're reposting it? There's nothing on Instagram that tells you that someone's reposting it. There is the share option, but just because you're sharing, the little arrow thing that lets you know someone's sharing it, that doesn't mean all those people put on their stories. And a lot of these people don't tag the page. The page isn't going to watch your story to know you put on their story. Yeah. So it's much better than that. And again, it's much better than putting up a half biased news post and then later at night hanging out and clubbing and eating and then saying that you care about a cause. Yeah, that's much better. So.
Yeah. And obviously there's nothing wrong with sharing information so more people
there
have this information.
But don't call yourself an activist.
Exactly.
You're just a reporter at that point.
Yeah, it's just the lengths that people go to turn it into something egotistical versus actually doing it for the cause.
And there's no shame in not truly caring, or like his friend said, there's no, because it's crazy, because my friend 2 days ago said he felt bad about not posting about the Palestine stuff and everything, because he really wasn't too aware of it. He kind of felt bad, but I told him, yo, bro, there's no shame in not posting about it. You don't have to fake rep.
If you didn't have an Instagram account, you wouldn't have done that in the first place.
Exactly. You don't have to feel bad about posting about it. If you don't know anything about the issue, if that's something that doesn't touch you personally, there is no shame. You shouldn't have to
how
feel
many
bad.
volunteers are actually there working and trying to help the situation and not posting about it because they're actually doing something about it? You could donate in silence. You could do so much stuff in silence. You're not supposed to. I remember everyone was like, I don't remember who was, but I do remember seeing people like, where's J. Cole during all this? Where's J. Cole? Why isn't he talking about it? And then the next day it's photos of him actually in the protest, not talking about it.
Yeah.
Which it was like,
that's why I didn't get why people got upset at him for responding to No Name when, bro, he was there marching and everything.
I don't know enough about that story to comment on it, but rant if you want.
Oh, I'm not going to rant. I was just saying, he dropped, his song Snow on the Bluff. He did mention it, but, bro, I'm not on Twitter like that. I'm not, I didn't keep up too much, but from what I saw, I did see pictures of J. Cole marching and doing everything. He doesn't use his Instagram like that, period, anyway. So why do you expect him to hop on Instagram and make a public announcement about it? Instead, you just march with the dude in the streets, bro.
Yeah, and it's like during situations like that, the last person's opinion I care about is a celebrity. I don't care what celebrities have to say about any of this stuff. It's like I would rather see like politicians actually change things rather than like what DJ Khaled has to say about this. Like, I don't care what DJ Khaled has to say about any of this.
Exactly. It just goes back to like that grassroots effort. You know what I'm saying? Like the biggest change is gonna happen from the random person, that random person, that random person.
Yeah.
Instead of just looking for this big celebrity and just them doing like a PR stunt or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So
grassroots doing the work on the ground is not Instagram. It's not social media.
In facts,
it's offline.
Like before social media, how do people get things changed and passed? You know what I'm saying? Like by actually being active and being in the streets. Exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, just do the work, yo.
It's a very different episode.
Very different than the last one, but it was great conversation, and that's the same as always. You know what I'm saying? Course. So,
one more time.
Oh yeah, the quote one more time.
The quote of the day one more time is we cannot liberate if we do not start from the bottom, from the late great Aisha K. Faines.
So any closing remarks, any closing items?
No, thanks for coming. Thanks for taking time out of your vacation to chill with me.
Of course, bro. Anytime.
It's always a pleasure.
Anytime. This is the one thing we're like, yo, this is for sure has to happen. If we come in here, we gotta record.
Yeah, this was dope. I'm grateful for the experience. Thanks, Bensky, for inviting me. So glad to have been able to come here, experience two cities that I would have never seen this soon in my life. So never forget this.
Anytime. So on that note, that concludes today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Make sure you leave a review and a comment on Apple Podcasts, right? Help us get ranked.
I gotta do that.
Appreciate it. Help us get ranked. If you like what we talk about, if you didn't like what we talk about, if you agree or disagree, drop a comment, leave a review, follow us on Instagram, let us know how you feel. We look forward to doing more episodes internationally. We just did 2, so who knows what the next one will be. Again, thank you, Raj, for the hospitality. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.